YouTube fam, what is going on? Look who is back again with another video. I'm gonna let the first lady introduce herself first.
He's motivated. This is Tasha, of course. What's up, guys? Good to see you again.
Tasha and Todd here. We are excited to be back with another LA video for you. So today's video is titled, Should You Move to Los Angeles During COVID? And we're going to talk about some of the pros and the cons. But I want to start off with the cons. But before we get to the pros and cons, check this out. There's two thumbs below this video. One is like this, the other is like that. So you want to hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and share it all across social media. If you're not on social media, share it anyway.
If you're on social media, they should be if they're on YouTube. Okay, I don't know. Never mind.
But so I want to start off with, so again, people are wondering, and thank you guys also for your feedback, for all our new subscribers and everything. Thank you for all the positive comments.
Yes.
For the mean comments, thank you. God bless you. We love you. And so anyway, I want to talk about some of the cons. Now, people are wondering, okay, should we move to Los Angeles? Should I move to Los Angeles during this whole COVID crisis? Because Todd and Tasha, this whole COVID crisis is just really going crazy. It's bad everywhere. I want to know, is it a good time to move over to LA? What's going on? So it's like this. The cons are, as far as moving here to LA, is that we cannot, there's a lot of things that we cannot do right now, okay, here in LA. Because of, Governor Newsom, he has this stay-at-home orders where basically you're not allowed to really be out on the street walking around and things like that. And so the police, the LAPD, as well as the Los Angeles and Orange County Sheriff's Department said that they weren't going to harass people. They weren't going to push these rules and regulations because there's enough going on as far as the whole police thing, the shootings and everything else. So they said they're going to just fall back. They're going to just kind of just let people go to work, go about their daily lives because they know that people have to make a living. They had to go to work, make money in order to support their family. So the police said they were going to just step back a little bit and just kind of, be chill here. So even here in LA, well, especially in California, but Los Angeles in particular, that we have to wear a mask. Even outside, they want us to wear a mask indoors and outdoors.
Right.
And I'm really so sick of these masks. Speaking of masks, this is my opinion, my strong belief opinion, whatever you want to call it. And please note, I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do. I'm not trying to tell you guys not to wear a mask, but I'm just being honest here. Do you remember first when the whole COVID crisis was taking place, or at least when we found out about it? The whole thing was, okay, let's get these N95 masks to people so we can protect ourselves. So then there was a shortage of these N95 masks. We all had a hard time, obtaining these masks and everything else. So then, what did the government say? They said, hey, just use regular mask. I don't have one next to me, but just use just like a regular mask. You'll be good. Little surgical mask, just throw that on. You'll be good. So let me tell you, I used to work in hospitals. I worked in the emergency room. I worked in ICU for years. I've been in and out various isolation rooms. I'm not going to get into the whole technicality of the whole situation or the whole isolation rooms in general, but I will tell you this. These masks that they have us wearing outdoors or wherever or around people, saying that this is going to protect us from COVID, is absolutely wrong. It's further from the truth. You need the N95 mask at least, even though the N95 mask is not 100% safe proof, for against COVID. And just like the mask, the regular mask we wear, is not safe, period. It won't protect you, period. Why I know? Because a couple of things here. There are actually people who work in hospitals who go about their daily lives, out in the street walking around, and they still end up dying from COVID wearing a regular mask. Also, just last week, I watched a thing on KTLA talking about a young 25-year-old young man who was very, very healthy. He was a stickler about wearing masks. He always wore his regular mask. He always told his mother, I gotta have my mask on. But he was very upset because he kept telling his mother that, why is it every time I'm out, I see a lot of people not even wearing their mask. What's going on? But I'm wearing my mask. He came home, he took his mask off, he jumped in the shower, he sanitized. Before he went out, he put his mask on. His mother even said that he didn't go anywhere without his mask. One day, excuse me, he came home, he wasn't feeling well. Just 3 days later, ladies and gentlemen, he passed away of COVID. It's happening all around the world. So you can wear these regular masks that they tell you that'll protect you and everything, but it really won't protect you at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really sad because, again, the whole thing in terms of, okay, first of all, I feel it's like an inciting fear. If you are constantly pumping into people's minds how bad it is, oh, COVID cases are rising, we were getting alerts and stuff too. That's another thing you have to look you have to be conscious of, is you will get alerts on your phone about the COVID stuff that's going on here in LA. And that, to me, I was looking at it one day. We were just walking down the street to the store, and I looked at it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. It was like, COVID cases are rising. Almost like a take cover type of thing. And it was just, to me, and I know that, having studied, how the mind works and thinking and thoughts and everything else, that if you put that out there into the atmosphere, people are going to hold on to that, and that is what makes it even worse. So it's a mind thing as far as that too. But the mask on top of the the constant letting us know that it's so bad out here, it's so bad, stay home, that is something that is definitely a con in terms of moving out here right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're not taking the COVID situation seriously. We are taking it seriously. But again, I feel like they need to tell you the truth. The government, they need to tell you the honest to God truth. But again, they're not going to tell you again, hey, we all really need to be wearing the N95 masks because, it's going to cause a lot of panic and everything else trying to get the mask and things like that. So now, the other thing is, somebody left a comment, and they were wondering, hey, just not too long ago, just recently, somebody left a comment, as far as, moving out here. Their concerns is, the homelessness out here. So I want to talk about that a little bit, okay? Mm-hmm. So keep in mind, if you move out to Los Angeles, California, you will notice that there is a huge homeless issue out here. Yeah. And it's gotten worse over the past, few years. Yeah. So everywhere you go, you're gonna see homeless people. Mm-hmm. Some you're gonna see like a big group of them. Some you're gonna see a few. I don't care if it's Beverly Hills. I don't care if it's Santa Clarita, Westwood. You're gonna see homeless people in the best of neighborhoods. You're gonna see homeless people walking around, laying around, even in the subways. Even downtown in the subways, you see homeless people actually sitting on the steps, laying down on the floor, covered in blankets and everything else. So then you have other groups of homeless people who have different mental issues because of drugs or just breakdowns from being homeless, from a lot of problems in their lives. And so they tend to get on drugs, they're talking to themselves and things like that, they're going crazy and everything. So now, if this scares you, maybe it's not a good idea that you should come out here, because first and foremost, how I feel, and I know how she feels too, you have to have compassion for homeless people, okay? Mm-hmm. Because really, homeless people, they're homeless not by choice. They didn't choose to be homeless. Right. And you know what? You will be surprised because, for one, all over the internet, they talk about homeless people and they dog out homelessness and everything. They say, oh, there's homeless people everywhere. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to be around them. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of these homeless people you see that's out here laying on the street or that's on drugs or have mental issues and things like that, they actually have PhDs. Yeah. They have, different degrees, bachelor's degrees, things like that. Some of them were nurses. Some of them were even actually lawyers. Some of them held like different high positions in different fields of and lines of work and everything. But they fell on hard times, things happened, or they got on drugs and things happened to them and they end up homeless. Right. So they all have a story. So we can't look at them and look down on them. I'm not saying that you guys are, but there are people out there who look down on homelessness. Mm-hmm. And you should, we should not do that. We need to treat them with love. And even, some of them have mental issues and things like that. We need to treat them with love.
Yeah, and again, just to talk about that too, Now, the reason why you will see the homeless population in varied areas and neighborhoods is because of, again, the laws that are actually in place out in California to protect them. In the sense of, you will see tents, you will see things on the sidewalk as far as that's concerned, and they can't be moved because that is one of the laws here. That we are not allowed to, I should say, law enforcement, like we're not going to move it, but law enforcement is not allowed to move, that particular thing, or even a property owner, whatever the case may be. They're not allowed to move that, in some cases. So you will see that type of thing there. And, again, just like Todd said, we have to be compassionate about that. And just really, I always think when I see them, like, oh my gosh, what is their story? Like, how did they, get to this point? And I always think about what I can do to help them out. So I think too, another thing that you should think about as far as coming out here. Now, obviously the whole COVID situation, as far as maybe another con, is what people have been talking to us about on our videos, which is, oh my gosh, I can't find any work at home jobs in California, especially the whole COVID going up and down. But that could be looked at as a con, but I say that actually it's all about your mindset and your attitude. Because if you come out here and you just know like this is what you want to do and this is where you want to be, then you're going to attract work. You're going to get work. It's going to work out as far as that's concerned. So yeah, it may be a little bit more challenging. However, as far as, the work at home jobs, but the thing of it too is that because of COVID, there are more companies that are open to it, especially even out in California. So you have to be mindful of that as well. Just keep that in mind. Now, if you already got something set up as far as a work at home gig or whatever the case may be, you may not want to tell them that you're moving to California in some instances. I'm not saying you want to be dishonest, but just to give you the real facts of the matter, something to keep in mind is that, the laws out in California are different as far as, employment laws and things like that. That's a reason why the work at home situation in some cases is so quote unquote minuscule out here, because a lot of companies don't want to deal with it. But again, keep your options open, keep your mind open, because there are opportunities out here no matter what, especially with the increase in COVID.
Exactly. And so kind of just elaborate a little bit what I was saying kind of, before. So Governor Newsom, with the whole stay-at-home orders and things like that. So a lot of businesses, especially restaurants, so you basically can't eat outside. LA has a ton of restaurants, especially downtown. Restaurants everywhere. It used to be where we can just sit outside at the restaurant, at the table, just chill out, enjoy the breeze, look at the mountains, just watch everybody, walk up and down the street. Just enjoy the beautiful view, the beautiful scenery, enjoy each other's company. But because of this whole COVID thing, Governor Newsom, he said, hey, restaurants, you cannot have people sitting outside at your tables eating because, we don't want COVID to spread. Okay. To me, that doesn't make any sense, because whether you're eating outside or you're standing and walking, what difference is it going to make?
Yeah.
So now, the downside, and again, the cons, is that a lot of businesses are losing money. They're going down under because of the fact that a lot of people are turned off because they like to go to a restaurant and chill. They go to a restaurant so they can dine. Just like you guys, you go to a restaurant, you don't want to stay at home and cook, or you don't want to stand up and run and eat. You want to just sit down and chill and eat and have a good time. But so a lot of restaurants, as far as the dining, is shut down. You can't even eat inside the restaurant. You have to go. For instance, there's an IHOP in downtown LA that in order to eat, we had to go outside and order outside. We can't even walk inside and order.
Yeah.
But then you can go to some other restaurants like, Wendy's out in Santa Monica, and you can go inside and actually order, but you just cannot eat inside. So that is, some of the cons right there.
Yeah, that part is super frustrating because, again, we love, as Californians or whatever, that is, Angelinos, there we go. That is one of our, things, is that we want to go to a restaurant, we want to sit down, eat, and enjoy. And, that not only that, too, of course, the churches are still closed and those type of establishments as far as that. So, that is a downer as far as the cons part of it.
Yeah. So. And that's one thing I forgot to mention too. Like, we love church, and the fact that here in Los Angeles, California, we cannot go to church. Our church is on the internet, so we have to watch our church, our pastor, on the internet. And yeah, it's fun and dandy watching our pastor on the internet, but it's better to be in there because we like to be in there where we can be involved in part of praise and worship because we love praise and worship. But because of this whole COVID thing, and yeah, this COVID is serious, but at the same time, in some instances, in our opinions and our beliefs, they're going too far with different things and different aspects of it.
Yeah.
So it's affecting, people's lives, their religious lives as well.
Right, exactly. And I just, oh my gosh, well, anyway. That all the cons that we have?
I believe, well, and then some of the other cons, again, and no offense against homelessness or anything like that, but they really don't know any better. And again, they kind of, some of them lost their mind and they have no other choice, but they defecate on the sidewalks, on the poles, they urinate, all on the ground, and you have to kind of watch, where you step and where you're walking. Like they would defecate right there in broad daylight in front of everyone. So those are some of the cons right there that we can think of right now.
Yeah, so beware of that. Now, however, there are some pros, especially moving out here right now when it comes to deals for apartments. What I noticed too is, of course, I know Todd will elaborate or whatnot too.
We'll definitely do a separate video.
We'll do a separate video
on apartments, and we'll take you inside apartments too.
What we will talk, I just want to mention really quick is that there are some pros as far as moving out here right now when it comes to apartments, in the sense of huge incentives like 2-3 months free, super low, entry as far as the down payment or whatever the case may be. Not down payment. What is it? Deposit. There we go. Deposit. It's not a home, not buying a home. A deposit as far as that's concerned. And what is growing here in LA, because let's face it, it's not cheap, is if you are a single person, they actually have programs out here now where I believe it's called room sharing, and there's a more technical term we'll talk about on our video. But basically, you can go into these different apartments as far as that's concerned, and actually, be paired up with someone right on the spot in terms of a roommate. So your rent will be half of what you normally would see on the internet because you have already moved in with a roommate. They have that like to where it's like up front, to where you don't have to do the whole quote unquote Craigslist thing back in the day. You actually go through the apartments themselves and they'll set that up for you. And it's huge incentives also in terms of price drops on rent. Whereas the rent used to be maybe $1,000 more, you're seeing where it's like $1,000 less, in some instances $500 less or whatever. So we'll be sure to cover that, but I wanted to mention that as a definite pro.
But hey, so another pro is, again, this is LA, this is Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of the world, Tinseltown. So look guys, despite of like things being closed down, the fact is you still can go out and walk around. You still can go out to the beach and enjoy, you can relax. You can see the scenery, the mountains, and things like that. There's still Griffin Observatory. There's different places you still can go to and everything else, So you still can gather around with your friends, have fun. So like this is a place, it's huge. Los Angeles and Los Angeles County, it's massive, it's huge. There's so many different cities and places you can go visit. There's a lot of, art and everything out here, a lot of this art displays. And even downtown, just steadily, building downtown, we're building these tall skyscrapers. Along the Figueroa corridor, they're building all sorts of buildings. So we already had a Wilshire Grand, which expands 73 stories high. I'm thinking of a new building, proposed building that's supposed to be 77 stories high. But they're building buildings all along Figueroa Street downtown, and it's really nice too. And so all the buildings, when they're done, they're going to have LED lighting just spanning all across the building, just to give you an idea of how it's going to look. It's going to kind of look like New Times Square in New York. If you've ever been to Times Square in New York, you see all the buildings and the LED lighting just displaying all sorts of different things on their TV screens. It's really nice, it's awesome. Right across from the Staples Center, right across from the Los Angeles Convention Center, right across from LA Live, they're expanding everything down there. And it's just so much entertainment, guys. It's awesome. You can even create your own entertainment just by just being around the lights, camera action. There's no other place in the world that I would rather be, in terms of living. I'd rather be home in LA. I already made that mistake and moved to Vegas, not even doing any research, off of my own crazy emotions. But we're back here in Los Angeles, and there's like so many, pros that you guys need to know about.
Yeah, also too, speaking of which, as far as like creating your own your entertainment, the weather itself, again, the weather, no matter what you guys say or how you guys feel, or maybe I'm not saying that you're against it or whatever, but the bottom line is weather is a mood booster. It can be a mood booster. It can boost your mood, but it can also affect your mood in a negative way. And that's something that we experience when we live back east. Now, however, being out here year round, as far as that's concerned, having, you know, these sunny days and having that exposure, that vitamin D is good for your body, good for your skin anyway, and by giving those free doses of that, it literally does make a huge difference in your, if you allow it to, in your demeanor, in your attitude, and in your atmosphere, as far as that's concerned. So I mean, yeah, that's something that you can't put a price tag on, but it's definitely a pro of living out here, you know, on the sunny West Coast.
So the thing is, you can't let this whole COVID thing, or what you hear everyone else saying as far as all the negatives and cons and stuff like that, because I don't care where you live at in this country or in this world, there's always going to be pros, there's always going to be cons, there's always going to be some ups, there's always going to be some downs. But the question is, where can you see yourself living? Where do you really want to live at? Where do you really want to be? You know, you think with your heart, wherever your heart wants to take you. You can live anywhere that your heart so desires. Right. It's just up to you. Again, you always weigh the pros and cons and things like that. So with that being said, don't let anything stop you from, making your move to wherever you want to move to. And again, like, you may tell someone, oh, I'm moving to LA. They may say, oh, you're crazy. LA is so super expensive. Why move there? What and everything else. Try not to listen to other people. Don't let other people shoot your dreams. There's nothing wrong with hearing maybe, concerns and stuff like that. Do your own research. But don't let anybody shoot your dreams.
Right, exactly. I mean, again, as I said earlier, attitude is everything. Your attitude, I know it's cliche, but your attitude determines your altitude, literally. And living out here, it just makes a huge difference for us. That's our experience. It makes a huge difference in terms of how we feel. And so like Todd said, how do you feel? You have to get in touch with that side. And if what you feel is that you should move out to whatever place X, Y, and Z, I don't even care if it's the coldest place, it could be Alaska. If that's where your heart is and that's what you should do, and you shouldn't let anybody deter you from doing that. So absolutely follow your intuition, your dreams, whatever the case may be, make sure you follow it and really ignore what everybody else is saying. And work on your mental toughness. Work on your mental toughness as far as that's concerned.
Right. And see, remember, you always have to have a plan. Just, again, don't make that same mistake, we made. We just upped and moved to Vegas. We didn't have a plan or nothing. We just and was out of there.
Yeah.
And then we had a miserable time, and a whole lot of stuff went down. We talked about it in other videos, but we still didn't get too much in depth of it anyway. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you want to make sure that you think very carefully, very clearly, as far as if this is the right move for you. Mm-hmm. So don't just think about just the now. Think about your future. Okay, so don't think about, okay, well, I want to move to such and such city, and, for this time period, I want to do this and do that. Think about, okay, so can I see myself here the next 5 years, the next 10 years? Can I spend the rest of my life here? What is the housing market like? What are the expenses? All that type of stuff you want to, find out and everything. But just keep in mind that, yes, the housing prices in LA is through the roof. It is very high. But it's cheaper if you go to other cities, but still the taxes in California and LA is super high. But just please remember this too, when you're even thinking about, maybe purchasing a home or renting a home, but especially I should say purchasing a home, because really when you purchase a home, technically it never really is your home unless you pay that home off. And still you can pay that home off, but not pay your taxes for your house. They can still take your house.
Exactly.
So it's a double whammy. So basically, if you're paying on that house for the rest of your life, so be it. The fact is, you have a roof over your head, because a lot of these homeless people, even out here in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and throughout the nation, they do not have a home. They don't have a roof over their head. They sometimes have a tent, or they're just laying out on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. So again, you may still be paying on your house, when you move or whatever, but you still have a roof over your head. So it's one of those things where you have to be grateful. Yeah, you may get a better deal in the house somewhere else, but there's still pros and cons. Even if you live somewhere where the homes are cheaper, there's still going to be pros and cons in the other area that might make up for that housing price, whether it's up or down.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I mean, the bottom line is, again, the mistake that we made is that you cannot look at a price of something and just automatically determine that it's not for you because it's quote unquote too high. Well, who says? Are you saying that it's too high because everybody else is saying it's too high? Or do you really know that in your heart of hearts that some way, somehow, you can figure out how to get that, that paid? How can you get that monthly payment in every month? How can you bring in the income to do that? If you really know in your heart of hearts that some way, somehow, you know it's going to happen, yes, do the planning, do the research and all of that. But if it's, again, follow your heart. If it's in your heart and you want to move out here, then do it. Don't let anybody else tell you not to do it, because you will be filled with regret. You will be filled with regret,
Exactly. So just make sure, before you hand, again, like I said, proper planning, make sure that you're making enough money, you have enough money, to make that move, and not only just to make that move, but to sustain that move. So that's the key thing right there. And just remember, if you decide to move out to Los Angeles, even though a lot of stuff is closed in terms of like the outdoor dining and stuff like that, things will eventually get back to normal.
Right.
Okay, so can you imagine? You come to LA, stuff opens back up, more stuff opens back up. That's even a greater time that you will have too. So just always remember that. So I need to end this video right now. Tasha and Todd, thank you so much for being just loyal. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for your love, everything. Sorry that it's been a while since we made a video, but we're going to keep working on getting back on track with these videos.
Happy New Year, and talk to you guys later.
Live from Los Angeles, California. Let's do this!